Hello everyone, this is Jimmy Cultus back again with another logic video, and the topic of today's video is morphing or transformations of objects, and I guess just about anything really. First things first, I'm going to make a basic demonstration. We're going to need grid snap, and we're going to go to modes, sculpt shape. Going to turn off hide everything, and we're going to go to mirror, set it to clipped mirror, turn off surface snap, and we're going to stamp out this cube. Now it's at a funny angle. We're going to stamp out the cube over here, and I'm going to stamp a fleck, which you may be wondering why I am stamping this fleck. Set to stamp fleck, set to surface snap, and I'm going to put one on the other side too, just so we're well balanced. And I will explain in a moment why I have done this. How about we make the cube shiny, like it's made of butter or something? We're also going to make it non-collidable, and then we're going to group it with the fleck, and make the fleck, if we can select it, have 0 opacity. Now that we've done that, we're going to duplicate it with L1 and R2, and we are going to stamp out a sphere. We may try to get it as centered as possible. And it's still going to be a group, of course, since we've got the fleck in there. So basically, we grouped it again. And it's 2 groups within a group, if that makes any sense to you. And the way we're gonna pull this off is we're gonna make the cube smaller and put it inside the sphere, so you can't really see it unless you do this. Let's try to get it as centered as we possibly can. And then we're going to put a microchip on the surface with L1 and X. And we're going to take a keyframe, or you could use an action recorder set to keyframe mode also. I'm going to select this and the cube. Then we're going to move the playhead forward a little bit. And shrink this down and grow the cube. You might want to create some paint guidelines if you're unsure about the shape and size of this, like if you want it to be more smooth. Also move this over a bit so it's more centered. But essentially this is how you can create a transforming shape. L1 and R2 on the timeline, which you can open with L1 and X during recording or otherwise. And by copying out the first frame, we're going to have a seamless loop going. And that's our transforming shape. It's a very simple method for doing that. Make sure both of them are non-collidable, of course. And you can pretty much, you know, move it any way you want to. But that's the most basic form of morph effect. I'm going to show how we can do a transformation, which in the invisible stage, if you put on preview invisibility, you can already see where we're going with this. I've made a sculpt of a transformation. This fellow's turning into a grasslands Muppet or something. And I'm just going to shrink the head and put it down inside here. Now, it should be noted that the head is actually similar to the cube that we just created, in that it's two groups within a single group. So first I grouped every piece of his face into a single group, and then I grouped every piece of the, whatever that is, face. And I grouped them together, creating a single group, but they're both two separate groups, technically, so just thought I'd mention that. I did the same down here, where I created some green hands, and I grouped all the fingers for the normal hand together, and all the fingers for the green hand. And then took the groups and grouped them together to create a single group. That's just the way we're doing it. And next we're going to shrink them down and put them inside the palm in an area where you won't really see them, or at least if you do see them, they're going to be barely noticeable. I'm going to do this with both. Yeah, not noticeable. And I'm going to use a keyframe real quick just to get their basic size for the grown out part. I'm going to try to match the orientation of the regular hands as close as possible, and then we're going to shrink the regular hands so that they disappear inside the green hand, thus creating the illusion of a transformation. And there's probably little effects you could add, you know, like if you want smoke or fog coming out, that might make it even more convincing. But I think this is probably the simplest and quickest way without all that flashy stuff. Main thing is just to make sure that they're oriented right, and that they will be in a good position when the bolts, you know, are bent. Keep in mind the bolts, you know, if I leave animation mode, you'll see them. The hand has to pivot about here. Oh, wait a minute. Outside the group, this is where the bolt pivots, so keep that in mind when deciding how this transformation is going to work. And now I'm going to grow the grass head. I don't really know what this is, but it's a transformation into something. And we're going to shrink the human head so that it's basically invisible inside the transformed head. Head, I should say, not head. Head. Transform. What we'll call it. The keyframe. I also might make a little animation just to add to the effect. So we're going to use a action recorder in keyframe mode, and we're going to select his various limbs. Just slightly move them, ever so slightly, so that we have all the necessary recorded frames. Remember to work your way from the pelvis outward. It's just the way things work. And we're going to make him do a little forward bending motion. Because he's about to transform, you see. Kind of make him kneel down a bit. Like he's got a stomach ache. Gonna take off mirror and just make it so he's like holding his stomach or whatever. And then we're gonna make him suddenly jerk backwards. And this is gonna be the transformation moment. Also, we're gonna raise this up a bit. And lower it a bit for the previous scene, just to make the movement a little bit more. You can even, if you wanted to, grow his hands during the transformation. Like if you want his head to grow bigger, or his torso, and then shrink down. And we're going to copy the first frame so that he returns to his basic pose after he's done transforming. Also, let's go ahead and turn off his auto look so he won't be looking at us during the test phase. And we're going to take out a timeline and go ahead and apply the transformation, which if you want it to be permanent, you'll need a selector or a counter. You could also put it on keep changes, but I feel like that's less reliable if you want them to untransform later. Okay. Timeline could be set to play once. And we're going to add a keyframe to the timeline and set both of them on linear blend. This keyframe is empty. Let's go ahead and there's a morph. That's a transformation. It would probably make it even more, more immersive if you have parts of his body moving while he transforms, like, say you had the jaw open. Or the eyebrows go up or something. Maybe the eyes bug out a little bit. And then we go to the human face. So we can find it in here. Turn on hide everything. And we can alter the human face to also match the expression a bit. Open the eyelids. Really helps with the transformation. Best transforming Muppet. And if you want to slow it down to see this more precisely, we can do that too. Anyway, that's how to do transformations and morphs, an easy method. Just putting materials or groups inside other groups and then displaying them at the proper time, shrinking them, growing them. It usually works. There's probably some more complex methods, but I think this is probably the most thermo-efficient method and the one that 9 times out of 10 you'd probably use if you're making a game. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts, leave a comment, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. That's all for now. Goodbye.